The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented.
Hello and welcome to Health for a Lifetime. I'm your host, Don McIntosh, and today I'm delighted to have as my special guest Dr. Zeno Charles Marcel. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, I understand that you are a doctor in internal medicine.
That's
and
correct.
What exactly does that mean?
It means that we treat and help prevent diseases without using surgery.
Okay, great. So you can be involved in hospital and acute care and all those different kind of things, but you try and figure out what you can do to help our own body organs take care of themselves.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you also have the job, or maybe calling, you would say, of being the medical director of the Lifestyle Center of America. Tell us about that.
Well, the Lifestyle Center of America in Oklahoma is a place where people can go to restore their health, particularly if they have some of the more chronic lifestyle diseases like diabetes. A lot of people have diabetes, heart disease, obesity, high blood pressure, things like that. Mm-hmm. We tend to pay more attention to these illnesses, even though we treat other illnesses as well.
We're talking with Dr. Zeno Charles Marcel from the Lifestyle Center of America. If you'd like to get in touch with him or with the Lifestyle Center, the best way to do that is over the internet at www.lifestylecenter.org, or you can call us here at 3ABN and we'll get the phone number, contact number for you. We want to talk today, though, about a very interesting subject, which I'm sure you deal with a lot there at the Lifestyle Center, and that is physical activity or activity. Action is a law of life.
That's right.
And what can we learn about something so simple as activity that we need to hear?
Well, we can start with go back to the beginning, if you will, of our understanding of the human body. One of the things that keeps us alive is actually the pumping of the heart. The heart gets all the blood and all the nutrients in the blood. It gets to every part of our body and allows our body, therefore, to be alive and vibrant. One of the very important things about our heart, however, is it doesn't work alone. We have accessory parts of the body that have to work in concert to keep that circulation moving the way it should. And some of the parts of the body, like the calves, actually play a very important part in keeping the blood flowing back up to the heart. And therefore, if we want to have a good circulation, we need to be active.
All right. So they have the lymph nodes or the
lymph channels,
the veins and all those little channels in them and everything. And if we don't use those things, then it makes the pumping mechanism harder and it wears out faster.
That's correct. The old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it, that's what happens to our circulatory system. So exercise or physical activity is very important in keeping the body actually in tune. We were made to be active.
So you can't just have one of these diet pills or starvation things. It's best to keep moving.
That's right. You know, if somebody could come up with exercise in a bottle, that person would be a millionaire overnight. The other thing is, unfortunately, we can't have anybody exercise for us. See, sometimes it would be, we might think it would be nice if you could, pay somebody or have somebody go out and do the exercise and we get the benefit. But that doesn't work either. So exercise is the kind of thing that we have to do ourselves.
What about these machines that make you jiggle and wiggle?
Well,
I've seen them where you just sit there and you jiggle and you're just jiggling around. Do those help?
Well, they might help in some things. For instance, some of them, there's some foot vibrators and so on that actually help to relax you. But by and large, those jigglers, they just jiggle your fat a little bit. They don't really work the muscles. Working the muscles is something that we have to do. And even though we're talking a little bit about exercise and activity, part of the reason why we look at exercise is because it's a good surrogate. Exercise is something we can measure in the laboratory. Being active, how do you really measure that? If you ask anybody if they're active, you know what they say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty active. But how active?
I put my fork to my mouth. I put the spoon to my mouth. Basically that.
And you talk a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you add a few things in there, and then we say, well, subjectively, we're active.
So how do you know if someone's really active?
Well, you know, we can test, okay? We can put the person on a treadmill, and at the Lifestyle Center, we have people at the beginning of every program. We have them on the treadmill exercise test, and basically what we do is we give them a particular pace. They engage in the test anytime that they feel that there's any discomfort, or if we see anything that will cause us to be concerned, we'll stop the test. But that tells us where the person is and what the sum of their activity in the past has been able to accomplish in terms of their cardiovascular system, their endurance, and their respiratory function.
So you can hide, but you can't run.
I never heard it that way before.
That's right. It's kind of the opposite of you.
You can run, but you can't hide.
That's right. So after you test them in different things, how can you figure out what's the right type of activity for you?
That is a personal issue. The research has actually shown that when people, for instance, those with high cholesterol, if you were to take someone with high cholesterol and you force that person to exercise with a type of exercise that they do not like, you have a very good chance of causing their cholesterol to go up, because the stress of having to do this exercise, this activity, can actually drive their cholesterol up. We produce more cholesterol.
So if they don't like to walk,
and you force them to walk,
then it's not good.
then it's not going to be doing them all of the good that we'd expect that walking would typically do to people. So for someone, therefore, who wants to start an exercise program, first of all, they need to make sure that what they're going to be doing is safe. But second of all, that what they're choosing to do is something that they enjoy doing, something that they can enjoy doing. And even if they don't enjoy it at the beginning, that it's something that they would like to be able to enjoy.
Well, I would like to run after and collect $100 bills.
Then what you need to do is to get a series of $100 bills. You place them in strategic places and go for it.
Well, the only reason I said that is because sometimes we can't do exactly what we like to do. But what about the person who just doesn't like to do anything?
For those individuals, if you would call that person a challenge, you would always find that there's something that they're able to do. You see, motivation is a very interesting issue. Sometimes we say somebody isn't motivated, but I disagree. I think that everybody is motivated to do something. For instance, if we look at whether you're motivated to exercise or not, we might say, no, you're not motivated to exercise, but you are motivated to stay seated or to sit on the couch or to watch television or do something like that.
So you can exercise on the sit master.
Okay, there you are. You see, we have to now work with where the person is and try to help them with their motivation. Many times people put barriers. They say, I can't do this because. One of the favorite things that people tell me all around the country is that I can't exercise because I get too tired. It's too hard on me, okay? Too hard on me. Well, the reason why people get tired easily when they start exercising has to do with the fact that they haven't been exercising.
Yeah, that's
okay?
right.
So it's not that they're so fit. It's
right.
really that they're unfit, okay? So what we do is we have them start at a reasonable rate, okay?
So they don't get tired.
So they don't have to get excessively worn out. And the whole idea of no pain, no gain is really not true. One of the techniques that we use at the Lifestyle Center is what we call interval training. That allows people to exercise and rest, both as a part of their exercise activity. So the person might walk for a while and then slow down their walking, and then walk a little bit faster and then slow down their walking, as opposed to trying to go all the way. That usually causes them to get more fatigued quicker, and also for them to end up with aches and pains in places that hadn't been used for a while. Whereas if they were to use a technique like interval training, the way we do it at the Lifestyle Center, most of the time people are not as fatigued, they're not as sore, and they can actually do a lot better over a short space of time.
You know, now in my mid-20s, no,
Right.
don't believe it. A little bit older than that, but not much. Now in my 30s, you know, when I was growing up, we used to just play sports together, basketball, this, that, and the other. But then when you get a little bit older, if you've done those types of things, you don't have those friends around or those people. You can't just be going down in the neighborhood playing basketball with people or doing this or that, what you used to do. And you don't have those social support structures that you normally used to have. And maybe you just don't have the time to do that. And so you're not really motivated to go out and do long distance running all by yourself, or to, you know, climb the Himalayas or whatever it is that people say they like to do. So what do you say to the person who is used to a social-oriented type activity that now doesn't have those same types of opportunities?
Well, there are two things you mentioned. One was the time factor and the other is a social factor. I'll deal with the social first. People who tend to like to do social things as a way of exercising, for many people all across this country, they can join some club. Now, there are some walking clubs. There are groups of people, particularly folks who are retired or so, they may be able to walk in a mall and they can organize a group walking in the mall. People in churches and other civic or social groups can get together and do things together that will involve physical activity. As well as what I recommend to some of my patients is to actually join a club in which they pay a fee. And for many, the more costly it is, the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah, because they wanted to get their money's worth.
Exactly. You see,
It's running after those dollar bills again.
That's it. See, you put those $100 bills in a line, right, and people will go after them. So someone who joins a health spa and they're paying $400 for a quarter, those individuals tend to be more motivated than the person who pays $10 a quarter. Because $10, they may say, what's the big deal? Right?
What's the best type of physical activity and why?
I wouldn't say that there's any one best type. Walking is something that we can all take with us. So if I had to choose one, I'd say walking would be it. Everybody who has two legs and can use them can walk. All right? Now, you don't have to have any special equipment with you. You don't have. Typically, you could, even if you're in a bad neighborhood, if you can walk inside of your house, you can walk. If you have stairs, you can walk up and down the stairs. So this is something that really we can do if we have a little bit of forethought and we're willing to experiment. Okay, so I would probably put walking as the number one. Gardening is a very good form of exercise. However, there are some people who garden using lots of tools and equipment that they might sit on and drive. They don't get all of the benefit if they're doing it. Doing it that way.
Do the things by hand.
That's right.
Rake, hoe.
If you have a lawn, to get out there and cut the lawn with, one of those mowers that do this?
Oh, man.
One of those push mowers? That actually will give you quite a good workout. Now, I wouldn't suggest that people start that if they have not been exercising before.
Why not?
Well, because many people, if they have not been exercising before, their muscles, their joints, their ligaments, their cardiovascular system is just not in shape to handle vigorous activity or strenuous activity without increasing their risk of injury.
So they need to check it out with the physician if they have any question whatsoever, or if they're over 40 years old?
If they're over 40 years old, that's a recommendation that has been made.
We're talking with Dr. Zeno Charles Marcel. He's the medical director of the Lifestyle Center of America, with a web page by that same name, www.lifestylecenter.org. If you have more questions for the folks there at the Lifestyle Center, you can contact them by email on that page, or get other phone number contacts on that page, or you can call us here at 3ABN and we'll give you that contact number. Join us when we come back. We're going to be talking more about exercise when we come back.
Have you found yourself wishing that you could shed a few pounds? Have you been on a diet for most of your life, but not found anything that will really keep the weight off? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then we have a solution for you that works. Dr. Hans Diehl and Dr. Eileen Ludington have written a marvelous booklet called Reversing Obesity Naturally, and we'd like to send it to you free of charge. Here's a medically sound approach successfully used by thousands who are able to eat more and lose weight permanently without feeling guilty or hungry through lifestyle medicine. Dr. Diehl and Dr. Ludington have been featured on 3ABN, and in this booklet, they present a sensible approach to eating, nutrition, and lifestyle changes that can help you prevent heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. Call or write today for your free copy of Reversing Obesity Naturally, and you could be on your way to a healthier, happier you.
It's absolutely free of charge, so call her right today.
Welcome back. We've been talking with Dr. Zeno Charles Marcel from the Lifestyle Center of America, and we've been talking about activity.
Yeah, that's right.
And we need to be more active. We need to have something that works for us. That's what we talked about at first. We can't just be conscripted into somebody else's mold. We need to be out there doing what we enjoy, but we need to be doing something.
That's correct. We need to be doing something that's productive.
Now, what are the things we need to be doing? What are the things that are productive? You know, we have all these different types of activity and all these different, we can get different spandex suits of any color we want, plaid, bad, sad, glad, or yellow, or green, or purple. But what really makes a good activity? What are the components?
Well, things for the best effect on the body,
Yeah.
it needs to have an aerobic component. And aerobic just means that the person is expending effort and bringing in a lot of oxygen into the system and getting rid of some of that carbon dioxide that builds up. So
Need to just be breathing
they
deeply.
need to be breathing deeply, okay? Another is strengthening. The person needs to actually be increasing the work of the muscle such that the muscles are gaining in strength.
So you can't be going around like a gerbil in a gerbil cage on a little wheel.
Yeah, now you can do that and you can get some benefit from that, but that's not optimal.
You got to slow it down, push.
Do some of those strengthening activities as
Okay.
well. And the third is actually some stretching, limbering up, especially for people who haven't been exercising for a while. They need to limber up. They need to get the ligaments and the joints actually to be able to be more flexible, and that decreases injury. Now, the best way to start a stretching program is actually to warm up a little bit before you start stretching. So you walk, not too fast, okay, but you walk and you get a little bit warm, you get the circulation going, the joints and the muscles get a little bit warmer, and now those muscles can be stretched to your advantage, and then you start now with the rest of your exercise.
So you go
program.
out, you kind of saunter around, or as they say in Romanian, plimbate. That means, you know, you're just, my wife's Romanian, so she has that word for, it's not a hard walk or whatever. You just kind of walk around, and then what do? You go down in your crouches or crunches, or what do you do?
It depends on where you're trying to stretch. And really, stretching all of the major joint systems, that works the best. So, you know, from the ankles, knees, hips and waist, lower back, and up to the shoulder girdle and the arms.
So I've heard said before that you shouldn't do anything jerky. It should all be kind of fluid, you know.
That is true. The jerky motions and the repetitive kinds of activity where we push and push and push, these tend to increase the likelihood that you'll get injured.
Mm-hmm. So you just kind of ease into it, and especially if you're a little older.
Right.
Of course, we're not in that category.
Oh, of course not.
The others that are out there that are a little
we're
bit
getting
older.
there.
All right, then strengthening. What do you do then to increase your strength?
We carry around our bodies with us, and so we can use our own bodies and the own weight that we have as a means of resisting against activity that we try to do. For instance, we can do push-ups, we can do sit-ups, we can do pull-ups, we can hang. Even in the chair, we can sit in the chair and push up with our arms, see? And this gives some strengthening activity to the upper body. But you know, even going beyond that, there are certain things that we can do around the house, around the home, or on the job that is actually work. And work entails some of the aerobic activity, and it includes some of the strengthening activity, because it requires oftentimes for us to work against resistance.
So, you know, I have a sedentary job, some would say, you know, being a pastor. What should I do in my office?
Well, I would start off by asking you, what do you like to do?
What do I like to do? Well, I like to play basketball. I like to play tennis. I like to walk. I like to swim.
Well, in your office, you obviously won't be able to swim and play basketball, right? So
yeah, it'd probably not be good to set up that hoop there in the
no,
office.
it probably wouldn't go for
Come
too
on
long.
in, Sister Jones. Just
Let's shoot some hoops together, right? No, that,
yeah, right.
That wouldn't work out too well. But let's suppose that during the course of the day, you really can't get out to do anything else, okay? In your office, you can be working under the table with pumps, okay, for the calves.
All right.
Right?
Okay.
You can do some resistance activity with the legs against the hands or even against the side of the chair and the legs together, pushing
With those
against each other.
With those resistant members or whatever in my church. No, I would do. No, there's none like that in my church. if you're
Nothing like
watching.
that.
All right.
Okay? You can actually be doing leg lifts. Okay?
I already get accused of too much activity.
Too much
Now I'm
activity.
gonna be in
Now
deep
you're going to be doing
trouble.
something else.
All right. Yeah, good.
Leg raises.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I can just be maybe strengthening my grip
Strengthen your grip on the chair handles.
during
Okay.
board meetings.
All right.
That happens naturally sometimes.
Okay. So you see, there are lots of things that you can do right there. Now, you may also want to do some push-ups in the office or sit-ups. Okay, but you might want to
That's
close the
the
door.
strengthening
That's some
aspect
of
I
the
can
strengthening
do.
activities that you can do.
The aerobic stuff, better, the 50-yard dash to the whatever, the school or whatever.
That might be a place to do that. For some of the other aerobic activity, if there are stairs in your office, you might want to do some stair climbing. Now,
Okay.
it may not appear to those looking on that you're sane when you start walking up and down the stairs over and over.
Right.
But so let them know ahead of time that this is what you're doing. You can actually process some other things while you're doing that. You could be listening to things. I wouldn't suggest that you do a lot of reading while you're going up and down the stairs. You might get to the bottom a little bit quicker than you anticipated.
We don't have any stairs in my office, so that's going to be okay. All right. Well, you've given me some ideas. I'll work on some of those things. And so, but strengthening things you can always be working on at almost any time.
Yes.
And then flexibility, I suppose, too, in some sense. you can.
In some sense you can, but it's better to have a regular flexibility schedule, if you will, where after a brief period of warm-up, then you stretch, then you go ahead and you do your physical training session, and then you cool down after that, and then you hit the showers.
What about the person who's osteoporotic, someone that has bad problems with their bones and their joints, and they really truly do have problems with those types of things? What kind of exercise did someone be
With
involved
osteoporosis.
in? Yeah.
The best kind of exercise for somebody with osteoporosis is actually what we call weight-bearing exercise. The person must exercise against gravity for their bones to be strengthened. And if they add some weight in addition to their body weight, that works out even better. So for instance, it might be a lady or a man who can get a vest, a fishing vest, fill the pockets with sand or fill the pockets with lead sinkers, right? That increases the weight of the vest.
But don't try and walk on water then.
Don't try to walk on water at that time. But they can walk and exercise with that, and that actually increases the benefit of that kind of exercise. Swimming as well, which is really good for aerobic function, is usually not very helpful in people if they have osteoporosis and they're trying to use this kind of exercise to help the osteoporosis.
What about someone who has a herniated disc?
If someone truly has a herniated disc, then what that person would need is what we would call therapeutic exercises. The best situation would be that they get evaluated by a physical therapist, someone who knows about these things, and then get an exercise prescription tailored for the degree of problems that they might be having.
What about the paraplegic?
You might be surprised at the amount of exercise that people who are paraplegic can do. When I was with the Veterans Administration, we had patients who had problems like that. We had, when I was at the Reading Rehabilitation Hospital in Pennsylvania, we had patients who had injuries from motor vehicle accidents to gunshot wounds and so on. These individuals, believe it or not, did a lot of upper body exercises. They can do it in their wheelchair, they can do it in the chair, they can do it in the parallel bars, they could even do it at the table at home. And a very important part of their rehabilitation actually was physical activity to the upper body. And they just weren't able to use their lower extremities to the same extent.
Can you ever start exercising too young in terms of some exercises?
There is a potential risk for having young children engage in weightlifting and weight training. So for the very young kids, let's say less than about 10, less than pubertal age, perhaps the best thing is good old-fashioned, get out there and play and work. Okay, that is a good training program.
Why is that? Because of the bone plates or something? Why is it not good to have them weightlifting?
Because if they overstrain, right, because of some of the ligaments, some of the fascia around the muscles, they're more prone to getting hernias. That's what is said, that they're more prone to getting hernias.
Can you be too old?
No. It's never too old to start. It's never too old to get fit.
Any studies on old people that have started exercising?
Oh, yes. There are lots of studies. As a matter of fact, at the University of Pennsylvania, they did some very interesting research using elderly people who had osteoporosis, who were prone to falling. Okay, and of course, a fall in somebody with osteoporosis, oftentimes to many people, is curtains. So they had them do some specific training to strengthen their knee joints, their hip girdles, okay, and regain some of their balance. And these individuals not only improved their strength of these areas, but also decreased their risk of falling and did very, very well. So today, we say even for the person who is elderly, who might be frail, who may already have osteoporosis, who otherwise would say, well, you know, I can't really exercise, that is not true. The key, though, is that they should do something that is safe. They should be evaluated in a professional kind of manner so that they don't increase their risk by doing something that might be beyond their ability.
What's your favorite exercise personally? What do you do?
Walk.
You walk. How long?
It depends. I even walk with my patients. So during the course of a day, even though the day is busy, I would go for a walk with my patients around the track, and that gives us an opportunity for me to show them that even in a busy day with a busy schedule, you can still walk. It also takes us out of the office, and oftentimes the things that we talk about on the track are quite different from the things that we would talk about in the office. And I also have an opportunity during that time to evaluate how my patients are doing with regard to their exercise, whether they realize that that's what I'm doing or not. So I include walking as part of my, my daily routine. Additionally, after meals, we try to go for a stroll. Now, a stroll is not really exercise in the classical sense. It's actually a very slow walk, and this aids in digestion as opposed to...
so don't go to sleep afterwards, after a meal.
After,
get up and walk.
Get up and walk.
Do the dishes.
Again, don't do it fast, right? Get a nice, slow stroll, and you'll be benefited by that.
So what are you doing? Why are you still sitting there? You need to get up. You need to get going. Turn off the TV right after we're through and go. Make that phone call. Do that thing. Do that good deed. We've been talking about activity. It's a law of life. If you're watching too much, even of this great program, you need to be out there moving. And now you've heard how and why and what to do. So why not just go ahead and give it a try? But before you do, write down this contact information. If you would like to contact the Lifestyle Center of America, you can contact them at www.lifestylecenter.org, or you can call this station. We can give you more information, and we hope that today's program gives you health that lasts for a lifetime.